Questions for Trinidad Chambliss.
Trinidad, do you think today was your best performance of your career?
I wouldn't say so, honestly. We played great. I feel like I had a good game. There's still a lot that I could clean up, though, for sure.
What would you have said if I told you in June that you would be the starting quarterback for a CFP lock that is 11-1?
I tell you, you're crazy. I couldn't imagine this, but obviously God had different plans. I was just following his plans and, riding the wave as the season went on, as the year went on. It's been a journey, and it's been fun so far.
Trinidad, speaking of that journey, obviously you were walking around the stadium with the Egg Bowl trophy, having the opportunity to hand that off to your mother. What was that experience like for you?
Man, that was amazing. Just seeing so many people out here, Ole Miss fans. It was just great to see. And to have that moment with my mom was, unbelievable, and we'll always remember that moment.
Trinidad, you put that tweet out during the week, and obviously that's kind of been the talk of Coach Kiffin's future. What's your relationship been like with him from May, June to today?
Yeah, it's been great. Coach Kiff is really personable. He's great with all of our players in our team, and I feel like that's why we play hard for him. We play for a guy who wants to win and wants to compete like us, and that's easy to play for. So.
Trinidad, it feels super important now, like after the regular season, to ask about trying to come back and what that could be for you. Just what does that process even look like, and when you could get word on it, or?
Yeah, so we're still waiting to hear word on that. Hopefully we get some communication back maybe next week. That would be great, for me to get another year, just another year of the offense, having a spring, and just developing more on this level too. So that would definitely be huge to get another year.
Because you're going to appeal for it, right?
Waiver, yes, sir.
Yeah, waiver, yeah.
Yep.
On that point, it feels like y'all may have probably locked up on at least a ninth and another home game this season. What does it mean to get to go back and potentially have a playoff game in front of the fans at home?
Yeah, it's great to be back in the vault. Hopefully we have a home playoff game and have a great game in front of our fans. And it's not the last time we'll have a home game, so that's good.
You feel like y'all done enough to earn that?
Yes, sir, most definitely. This team has battled, and our one loss is to Georgia on the road by one score. So I feel like we definitely earned it, and we deserve to be in the college football playoffs.
Trinidad, this team has never won 11 games in the regular season until today, and this team has never made it to the college football playoff until this year. You guys kind of rubber stamped that today. What point did it kind of dawn on you that you're making history here at Ole Miss?
Probably after the game. Coach Kitt, we knew that. No Ole Miss team has ever been 11-1 regular season. But we couldn't get too caught up in that. We just wanted to play ball and just get the win. So it definitely hit me after the game, seeing all the fans and then just celebrating in the locker room, all the cigars, and it was just great though. So I'm glad that we made history, and we're rolling right now.
And your personal role in that, how special is that to you to be part of history?
It's a dream come true. I've said it all year that I've dreamed to be a Division I quarterback. That was my dream when I was a little kid. Playing the game, and now I'm living in it, and I gotta enjoy that. Slow down sometimes and just look around while I'm doing it. But it's been amazing so far. I'm truly blessed, and I got to give thanks to God.
I saw earlier in the day, apparently your original jersey was stolen out of your locker room. Did that add any motivational factor for you played today?
I thought it was kind of funny, but it's very disrespectful, honestly. It kind of shows you what kind of school Mississippi State is. They've always had brawls and fights and whatnot, and we can't get too caught up in that. But that was very disrespectful, and didn't really like that. So.
Are you confident that Lane Kiffin coaches you guys in that whatever that next game is?
Yeah, most definitely. Yep.
The videos haven't really come out yet from the locker room. I'm sure they will. But what was it like being in there with cigar smoke and all that?
Man, it was very smoky, very foggy. But it was cool to see all my guys, even the trainers, managers, and people who work for us. They're soaking it in. Some of them are seniors. This is their last ride. And it's just really cool to see how this special group, made history and that we achieved so much this season so far, and we're not done yet.
Was that a surprise, or did y'all kind of talk about that if y'all were able to get the win, that y'all would celebrate in that way?
No, I think it's mandatory if you win the Egg Bowl that you have cigars and that you're celebrating in the locker room. But yeah.
That brawl that you guys had there, did you see what sparked that? What were some of the things that were said?
Honestly, I got hit, so I was kind of banged up, but I think that they were, battling out for the ball. They might have thought it was a fumble, and then obviously, pushing and shoving happens, and if one person shoves and the whole bench is, cleared and whatnot. And I think Mississippi State's bench cleared fast, and, our guys, we're pretty much on the sideline. I mean, that's what we're taught. We're pretty disciplined, and we're not just going to let anyone push us around, though. We're a really physical team, but, yeah, so.
Who have been some of the leaders through this last few weeks stretch that have kind of kept you guys focused through the time?
I mean, I really can't point anyone out, but I would just say this whole team's just focused, and honestly, we just want to win. You know, we'll do whatever it takes to win, and we're so locked in and not worrying about anything else but the team right now. So we're just ready to, you know, play our next opponent.
Trinidad, obviously we talked about your jersey being taken and then the fight that broke out today. At what point did it really dawn on you how big of a rivalry this actually is? I know you've heard about the Egg Bowl, and I know Tom Luke talked to y'all earlier in the week, but from a first-hand experience, what was it like?
Yeah, very intense. You know, when you get word that your jersey was stolen before the game, that kind of tells you how big the rivalry is and how serious it is. Tom Luke had a very emotional speech to us, and it kind of got to me, really, because I think he got banged up his senior year, actually knocked him out of the game, and then they were ringing his phone, you know, bragging about how, you know, they won. So obviously now I have some light to that rivalry now. They stole my jersey. And obviously, yeah, I'll hate Mississippi State for the rest of my life now, for sure. So.
Got time for one more question.
This was a team that lost a lot of players. Coach Kiffin, you know, was trying to say that this was supposed to be a rebuild year. You know, quarterback coming from Division II to SEC powerhouse. At what point in the season did you know that this team was special? This team could potentially make a playoff run?
You know, I was kind of questioning, and I was wondering to some of the guys, like I was asking them before the season, like, how do we compare to like other SEC schools, or how do we look in the fall camp? Because I only knew Division II ball, so I really couldn't compare to anything else. But they were saying this group is, you know, really good. We got some guys. Obviously, they were saying that last year's guys were, you know, much better, more skilled. But I mean, that's just college football. Like, if you have a good coach and a good guys that, you know, work hard and, you know, strive to be great and will do whatever it takes to win, you could do whatever, honestly. No matter who you're playing or who you're playing with, 0-star, 4-star, 2-star. I mean, you could do whatever you can if you put your mind to it, really.
Thanks, Trinidad.
Appreciate you guys.
Questions for Kiwan Lacy?
I see, obviously, this is kind of what you envisioned when you made the move here, that this is where the position you'll be come into November.
Yes, sir. But really just focus on, you know, every day just getting better, working for this moment right here.
You talked about that powder blue in the stands, and you know, I see you earlier, but the family aspect of this team. Talk about both of those, what that means to you as a player.
It's crazy, you know, coming to Mississippi State and seeing half our fans out there. Like, it was amazing just seeing that. That's very important, you know, just having that environment around us is just great.
Kiwan, what was today like, knowing that there's this big decision that's coming tomorrow, where that could be maybe the last time you played for Coach Kiffin, or he might be back with you in the playoffs?
I'm really just focused on just, you know, doing my job, going 1-0. You know, I'm pretty sure the team is too. We just focus on the next mission.
I saw you put out a social media post earlier in the week. Why was that important for a couple guys to do that?
Just to show that we're not distracted at all. We're just focused on just going 1-0 each week. You know, trying to, you know, keep going and just win out.
First time playing in this rivalry game. What was it? How intense was it on the field for you?
It was very intense. I feel like they came out there, you know, tried to give out a fight. So, you know, we just came out there, did our job, and came with 1-0.
Kiwan, what kind of shape are you in at this point? You've got a lot of carries, more carries than what anybody projected coming into the year. How are you physically right now?
I feel great.
Everyone, all the focus is on Coach Kiffin and that kind of thing, but you guys are in the playoffs. You're one of 12 teams that's going to have a chance to win a national title. Your opinion, how far can you guys go?
I feel like we can go all the way. You know, I feel like with Kiffin, that's not a distraction to us. You know, we have our coach, so we're just trying to focus on going 1-0 each week.
When you were holding that trophy, you actually had one of the biggest smiles. You're a smiler, but one of the biggest smiles I've ever seen you have. What did that mean to hold the Egg Bowl trophy?
It felt great. You know, we just worked so hard to get to this point. You know, being 11-1, it just felt great. And, you know, just doing it with my teammates as well, you know, it's just, I love it.
Have the players expressed to Coach how much you guys wanted to finish this thing out? And what have you told them along those lines?
We've really just been focused on going 1-0, just playing the next game.
You just said you know you have your coach. What do you mean by that?
Just, you know, going out there to play, do our job. Everybody's there, so.
Do you think a performance like today from you also maybe puts you more in the Heisman conversation? Because it feels like obviously more people are talking about your head coach than what you're doing on the field.
I'm not sure. I'm just, whatever God has in store for me, I'm thankful for it.
Everybody good?
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
how are you guys able to just maintain focus with everything that's been happening the past few weeks and focus on the task at hand?
Yeah, man, just staying within the locker room, and we had a lot at stake just as a team, like trying to be the first team in the state to go be 11-team season, and then just college football playoffs. It was a lot for the team, and we put a lot of work in and felt like we deserved this moment, and it really wasn't hard to lock the guys in. We knew what we were focused on.
You guys Lane say to you guys after the game?
It was all focused on just like he just asked the question about just us being able to lock in and focus like throughout the week, even with all that noise. He was just, commending us on that and focusing on the win the whole time.
You guys lost so many starters from last year's team. Here you are. You guys are a lock basically to make the CFP. Would you believe that before the season this team would be 11-1?
To be honest, I thought we'd be 12-0. So serious when I say that. Not even joking. Not surprised. Kind of felt it from just the main guys we did have returning. They all had a chip on their shoulder and felt like we all grew up as leaders, and everybody that came in from transfers to young guys, we took them in and showed them what we needed to do to win.
How would you describe your emotions walking off the field in the locker room, knowing this may or may not be your last game with Coach Kiffin?
My emotions were good. I was really just focusing on winning and locking in on the playoffs, man. Like he said, kind of locking that spot in for the playoffs. That's my mind on, and you could tell that's what the team mind's on.
Jay, you were here last year, the last dance and all that with that roster, and we're not unable to make the playoffs. What's it say about this team and this roster, what y'all been able to do to get to where you are today?
Shows the toughness and like how special this team really is. I'm glad I'm a part of it and one of the leaders on it. Man, I'm a great group of guys, from the young guys to the transfers. Everybody came in with the mentality to do this and be where we're at right now. So not a surprise, it's actually a good feeling.
TJ, now that you feel like you are locked in for the playoffs, you got a preference about who you'd like to see or who you'd like to play?
Spot the ball. We can play anybody.
TJ, as an elder statesman on this team, I know the mindset has been to go 1-0 each week, but you guys are on social media. You see all the noise around the program. How do you personally help your teammates not let that seep into what y'all are doing?
The times we're in the locker room and at practice, really I talk to a lot of guys on the side. If I catch a guy sitting by himself, I talk to him by himself, especially the older guys, and just kind of see where their head's at with everything, and just telling them what we got at stake and to keep the main thing the main thing.
You feel like y'all done enough to get that home playoff game?
Yes, sir.
How big is it for you guys to win your last 5 and catching heat at the right time going into the postseason?
That was huge. Just being able to win out, especially losing that one game that we really shouldn't have and didn't want to lose. So that was huge, winning out for sure.
You guys probably had a better feel than anybody around him in practice. What is your feel? Are you going to stay on as coach or is he leave?
Say that again?
You guys have as good a feel as anybody being the players around coach. Do you think he's going to stay as coach or do you think he's going to leave based on sort of everything you've
I don't know. I mean, I'd love for him to stay. I mean, I feel like the relationship I've built with him and the opportunity he's given me, coming in and giving me a second chance, man, I feel like I owe the world to him. And I'd love for him to stay, but everything's out of my control at this point. I'm trying to go 1-0.
What makes about what it meant to see all that powder blue out there, and also the second part of that is the family aspect of this team. I mean, everywhere you look around this team, the family. Talk about that and what that means to you guys as players.
Yes, the powder blue on the field was amazing. Seeing all that in the stands and just all the fans coming, that was awesome. And from the family aspect, I feel like that was probably one of the biggest differences in the team from this year to last year, since everybody talks about the team from last year. Just like if you, from the off season, you see everybody in the facility after hours, either watching film or just playing around, playing the video games or things we got in there. Like the entire team's a family, staff to players, and even the surrounding supporting staff. So it's huge, and that's a huge part of why we're winning.
TJ, what makes it easy to play for a coach like Lane Kiffin? Obviously, you seem like a player coach, very personal. He's on social media as well. So when all of this is going on, how is it the way his coaching skill is, where you guys know this is part of the business sometimes?
The way he allows us to just be ourselves, and it just, like you said, is a part of the business, and we all understand that. And players have options to leave as well, so can't down them for that, and just looking at that option. But just the way he allows us to be ourselves, it allows us to be comfortable.
Yes,
as one of the veteran guys for this defense, you guys faced another dual threat quarterback today. What was maybe your message, if any, after the first quarter in terms of seeing it be a back and forth offensive game in the second quarter, the game kind of turned on the inside? What was your message to your guys after the first quarter?
Wrapping up and tackling. I felt like the plays he did extend, we were back there, just didn't wrap up and finish. So that was probably the biggest thing when we were executing, just not finishing and making those plays.
Were you surprised that it was Kamaru for the entire game for you?
No, sir. After watching the Mizzou game last week and watching film on them, we kind of expected that even started from the bye week and then getting closer and closer to the prep of this game, we knew he'd start.
What do you think you guys can do better to defend the run better, I guess? Is there exact science to it?
Tackle, for sure, and communicate. Like, just getting everybody set. I feel like their tempo was kind of fast, and just making sure everybody's aligned and cleats in the turf when the ball snap.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thanks, CJ.
Appreciate it.
All right, Coach, you can start us off. So, you know, what an awesome day. Just to watch our players at the end, and I told them last night, as you get older and you get joy from others, especially your children, which players a lot of times are similar, and I just wanted them to get to 1-0 today. So just like every time we've been in the stadium, could watch them go over there to the fans with the Egg Bowl trophy and be able to celebrate that alone, just, you know, winning the Egg Bowl. And then on top of that, for them to, you know, win 11 regular season games. And we talk a lot about, Coach Carroll used to say, you know, do things better than they were ever done before. And they just did that. You know, no one in the entire state's ever had 11 win regular season. So that's pretty cool, especially in the SEC's never been harder and deeper than it is now. So that's an amazing accomplishment by them. And, you know, I know the storyline about distractions all week and stuff, and I would just say, and I'm going to say it during the week, you know, we build our teams differently. So what you may think is distracting, as I understand our fan base or media, I don't think it is. And we train our guys from the beginning when we get them and build our teams to focus on what they can control and block out noise. And shoot, the last play, FAU, you know, we play our last game there. That morning there's an announcement, you know, that we're coming here, actually. And, you know, we're in the conference championship that day. So our players know next year, and we go out and win 49-6 in the game. So I think we just train our players that way. I wasn't concerned this week, and they've been doing it for a month, you know. So I would say maybe what, you know, we teach our players and our staff a lot of times, you know, that what you think might be really bad might be good. And so maybe you should think the other way, that all that distraction and all the noise outside bonds them together because they know their team, their coach, their coaches, and so they don't worry about that stuff. And everybody says, well, they're going to be distracted, they're not going to play well, or you know, they should want a different coach. I think bonds them together to stay focused and to play really well. And I'm not the coach for those who, I know we got a lot of people here today, but ones that cover us, you know, if the field goal goes in at the end and, you know, you just win, you know, some game or get some call by a ref, I'm not one to say that means you played extremely well that day. Our guys played well, whatever, probably 24, 10 or 13 run, you know, once we get that last touchdown at the end of the first half. And if you're distracted, you don't have 0 negative plays the entire day on offense. Not one play, not a sack, not a turnover, not a negative run for a yard. That's players executing really well and doing great. So really happy for them. And it's a heck of an accomplishment. They did something that no one's ever done before. And they did it in a really good style today. They played clean football, you know, kind of said at halftime, man, our programs are built different. You know, we build players to execute and play really well. Like they say down in the locker room, we want to make Sports Center for making good plays, not try to make Sports Center for starting fights. So, you know, that was disappointing earlier in the game, but I was really proud of our players, how their players all left their bench, including their AD, and our players stayed on our bench, you know, like they're coached to do. So play football, and they did that today.
Lane, Keith released that statement last week saying that there was going to be an announcement by tomorrow on your future. Have you made any sort of decision yet?
Yeah, I haven't. Maybe that surprises you. But I guess, I gotta do some praying and figure this thing out. I know today, I can get to that tomorrow. I live life about one day at a time. Maybe that doesn't help you, but I've learned to live that way for about 6 years now, 5 years, and that helps me. And so today it was all about these players performing really well and keeping this Egg Bowl trophy where it belongs. And then, tonight I'm going to go be a dad and watch more important game to me and watch Knox playing the North Division or North State Championship versus Tupelo tonight. So Coach Cutcliffe, senior, he was on the sidelines last week at the game. His son's the coach, in case you don't know. And, he walked over, he's like, man, isn't this like harder more intense than being the head coach in the games? I'm like, no, it's not. But it's more enjoyable. So I'm excited for that tonight. What a Fisher Ray, one of our assistants, said a couple weeks ago, man, he's like, if this thing played out, man, you could be 11-1, win the Egg Bowl on the exact same day. If they kept winning, then Knox would be playing the North State Division versus North State Championship. It's an awesome day. And, very fortunate to have a lot of really good things in my life. Thanks to God.
Do you plan on making a decision tomorrow?
I feel like I got to. Probably not as enjoyable as people probably think it is, but like Kirby says, when he wants to complain about being in the national championship and missing the portal window, he's like, there's no crying from the yacht. So I'm not trying to get pity, but it's not as enjoyable as maybe some people would think.
Does winning today and making the playoff make it more difficult to win?
I think it's difficult no matter what. I think that there is a relief that we played like I thought I thought they would today. I did think they would play like this, and but you never know. And so I am relieved for that, because if we didn't play well today, we all know what the storyline would be. It'd be my fault for having them distracted and stuff. So I'm really glad that we proved that narrative, which is a fair narrative for people to write, and I think a lot of our fans felt that way this week. Understandable, but they don't know our room and they don't know how we train them and how they think.
Like after the game, at one point, it looked like you were admiring the Ole Miss crowd. There was a lot of powder blue in that side of the stadium. What was going through your mind at that moment?
Just over the years, and then just really cool. That's third time we've been here, third time emptying out their stadium, and then watching Matt Corral do it, in that game, and then Jackson Dart, and then watching Trinidad carry that trophy, I said that when I said to him, this is just gives me so much joy to see them be able to do something like this, and so to watch these guys come together, they came from everywhere. I should probably know this, but I bet you on offense we don't have any players that play from the state of Mississippi. Think about that. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think we have any. So that's a different story that you have to have in-state players to win. But think about that. So they came from all over the place to come together to do this, to win, and then bring joy to all the fans, which are from Mississippi, mostly, I assume. It's just a really cool story, and you can't get a better story than Trinidad. You guys in Division II playing in front of 500 people, And today he goes for 359 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, no sacks, and some critical runs in a rivalry game that records don't mean anything when you go into them. They're not going to come out flat today. They never do. And so, and they did a lot. They put zero at them a ton of times, and tried to hit the big plays, and a lot of times they just held, as you saw. But Trinidad did some really good things today.
Number of people maybe you rely on that you can call as you're going through something like this. Said you were going to be a dad tonight, later tonight, probably have to make a decision in the morning. not asking you to give out names, but do you have a group of people that you rely on for something like that?
Yeah, I do. You know, I miss my dad on this. You know, I really missed him this week. And so, you know, my two calls will be the closest to that from advice what my dad would say to do on these things. And that'll be Coach Carroll and Coach Saban. Kind of wish when you had things to do in life that your dad wasn't there, but or your dad was there. But it is what it is.
Lane, when the polls come out on Tuesday, do you think this team is deserving of a college football playoff hosting option?
Yeah, I would think absolutely. I mean, you go 11-1 in the SEC, and you know and I'm not politicking. I think that should be an obvious hosting the game. I think depending on what other games go, you're in a conversation of are you even up there, even higher. So, yeah, I don't know how you wouldn't be hosting a game at minimum at 11-1, and your one loss, you're ahead by a couple of scores, right, going into the fourth quarter about at Georgia. Hard place to play. So I would certainly think that I wasn't even planning on politicking for it because I would think that would be a given. And shoot, we could have a whole different narrative here of, you know, Texas and Auburn win their home games. Two really hard places to play, man.